Hello everyone. Welcome. It is I, Reynard C. Fox, and today we're doing a very short rant video from an ITV news segment over in the UK concerning the influx, or I guess maybe the snowballing influx of migrants still coming into the UK, and Boris Johnson's remarks, as well as remarks from others who find it negative and inflammatory that Johnson's stating the obvious: if you come here illegally, you will be sent back, you will not be allowed in, so on and so forth. Let's get into it.
The latest group intercepted trying to reach the Kent coast are brought into Dover Harbour to be handed over to immigration officials. The 9 men and 2 women are said to be from Iran and Nigeria. There's one of 6 small boats stopped in the channel in just over 24 hours, a development that prompted this warning from the Prime Minister.
We will send you back. And the UK should not be regarded as a place where you can automatically come and break the law by seeking to arrive illegally. If you come illegally, you are an illegal migrant, and I'm afraid the law will treat you as such.
So blunt and to the point right off the bat, Boris differs in comparison and exemplifies, well, he differs in comparison to Theresa May, and exemplifies he means what he says by cracking down. I don't believe we will see a lot of flip-flopping from Mr. Johnson. And quite honestly, I think he has to take this stance. He has to be vocal like this despite outcry or offense taken or remarks that we're about to hear that it's inflammatory or negative. He has to take this point. Like, he had an amazing speech when he took office recently. He nailed a lot of talking points, a lot of good points. He is going to have to hold up to what he says. He may not get a lot of things done, of course, like with our presidents over here being bogged down by the bureaucracy, the lobbyists, all the campaigning that has to be done to keep their jobs. But he is going to crack down, and I believe he does mean what he says on this, on Brexit, on many other points. Well, let's continue.
Organisations that care for migrants condemn the Prime Minister's words as inflammatory, saying people who risk their lives like these escorted into Rye in East Sussex yesterday are desperate and deserve better.
Well, of course they condemned the Prime Minister's words. I mean, that's their bread money. That's their moneymaker. Those ships, they need those desperate migrants who risk their lives. I mean, why else? Why wouldn't they be outcrying and condemning the Prime Minister's words? They'd be doing it to anyone. They'd be doing it to me because that's their breadwinner. That's how they're going to continue making a living. These are human traffickers. These are not some gracious non-profit guardian angels that are taking people over. They are well aware of what they're doing is wrong, and that these migrants are going to get there and get either sent back, you get a one-way ticket back, or they're going to somehow slip through the cracks and they're going to suffer even greater woes and terrors than they'd suffer where they were from, because they're undocumented. They won't have any access to resources. They're going to get shuffled about. They're going to may turn to crime in order to survive. And I don't hold that necessarily against them, because that's what desperate people do in desperate times, in a strange place, in a strange land. But I mean, really? You're condemning the Prime Minister's words? Why are you condemning them? Why? We've already answered the question, but I would really love to interview some of these shippers, these human traffickers, if they would ever be so kind to actually be interviewed by me or any other independent YouTube journalist and say why, what are they condemning? Why are they condemning the Prime Minister's words? Why would they be condemning President Trump's, or the President or the Prime Minister of any state or nation state or country that is not wanting to see a continuing influx of illegal immigrants and migrants for various reasons, because of overpopulation, because of undocumentation, because some of them do have criminal records, some of them do wish to harm the state or the nation state that they're coming into. Tell me why. Fucking tell me why.
I think the Prime Minister's comments today were very negative towards migrants. Sadly, they're predictable, and we're talking about a handful of people here, not thousands and thousands of people.
The Home Office says in a period of 36 hours, officials dealt with 64 people, including 6 small children who tried to reach the English coast yesterday. French authorities stopped 30 migrants, including 11 children, attempting the crossing the same day. A further 11 migrants were intercepted by the border force near Dover this morning. It means around 900 migrants have crossed the channel this year so far. 267 of them in August alone.
Only a handful of people, he says, followed by another handful and another from French authorities, as this has gone on for almost 5 years. Maybe not thousands like the peak years when this happened, before Trump was elected, but still a snowballing effect that will keep occurring and continuing, provided that Boris Johnson, Macron, and the others do not crack down, do not mean what they say. And I think that is my firm belief is why Boris Johnson will actually hold true on this. He does mean what he says because he knows where this leads, just as Trump knows where it leads. I don't necessarily think the wall is a grand idea. I thought it was a stupid idea, but the deportation of a continuing influx of illegals that have gone on undocumented, have no reason to be here or need to use the correct channels and the correct means to getting here is necessary. And I think that guy is being genuinely dishonest when he's saying, oh, well, it's only just a handful of people, it's a small group of people. And I'd also like to add on the terms, the phrase that was used, desperate and deserve better. And maybe they are. Maybe they are. Maybe those families do. Maybe individuals in those families singled out do not. But who and how has that been determined? By who exactly? How has each individual on that boat been checked and evaluated by UK's State Department and deemed a safe person who only wishes asylum and safety for themselves and their family? Is there a UK official on board during this drop-off? Folks, I think not, and that is one of the problems we're seeing. This is also why the ships bringing them in, the human traffickers, they're not these gracious non-profit families that they used to be pinned as or framed as back in the early days of the migrant crisis. These are people like that are condemning this because it's killing their business, it's killing their profit. It's they're not bringing home the bacon if they're not bringing in migrants that the nation states don't want there in the first place, and they don't care. They don't care what happens once they get dropped off. It's just like Greyhound therapy in this country. You know, once you leave the asylum and you get on the bus, you're out of their hands. You're not a liability anymore. They don't care what happens to you. So why are people outcrying this? Why are people outcrying and siding with the shippers and this gentleman who's talking about only just a handful of people, just a handful, like, and then 60 here, 60 the next day, 30 here, 30 the next day, 267 in the month of August. Like, seriously, guys, like hold a thought for longer than 2 seconds and give it some serious consideration here.
This latest surge in attempted crossings has prompted MPs whose constituencies take in the Kent coast to refer to this as a summer of chaos. Officials here say Home Secretary Priti Patel will now be addressing the issue and potential ways of combating it with her French counterpart within the next few days. The Home Office is looking for tougher action against what it described today as ruthless criminal gangs who profit from those desperate enough to risk everything. Paul Davis, News at 10.
More like many summers of chaos, this has been a continuing problem for both over in the United States and especially over in Britain and in the European Union. This has not ended. It has seen its slow moments, it's seen its slumps, but it has never actually stopped happening. It will continue going on with or without ISIS, with or without any kind of chaos going on in South Africa, North Africa, or the Middle East. Like, they will keep coming. And as long as there are human traffickers to make money off of this, they will keep finding ways to bring people over here. And as long as there are human traffickers out there looking for people, there will be people who are continuing to try and cross. It's just like he said, ruthless gangs who are trying to profit off of other people and their desperation. And, you know, I will admit they are desperate once they are trying to cross the seas. You know, I mean, if you're on a little, like, lifeboat or a tiny, like, couple of pallets lashed together to a couple of barrels to make a little raft, you are very desperate because you might actually drown on the way. And it's quite unfortunate. If there was more combatancy on allowing people in, if they were stopped well before they reached the UK shore or any of the other European Union nation states, their shores, maybe people would be less likely to try and cross the Dead Sea or the Mediterranean or wherever it is they're trying to get across to get picked up by the human traffickers. Like, and that would stop, like, the deaths, the desperation. There's more than one problem here that we're facing. There's definitely going to be more than one answer. And I would like to finally add that while Boris could be taken as negative, yes, it could be taken as negative, he's trying to prevent a negative outcome from both sides, for both the UK and their government, their economy, their own people, the sovereignty of their own people, and the migrants who are coming forward. But mainly he is trying to prevent a negative outcome from his side, i.e. more migrants who do not wish to respect British rule of law. Those who commit and add to the 500 acid attacks in London as of last year or the year before, I believe, or those that drive lorries into crowds of people. So I will say on the risking of the lives remark, so fucking what if they risk their lives? Bad people risk their lives all the time. I mean, there are definitely good people who are coming over, I'm sure, but there are just as many bad people slipping through the cracks who wish to do harm to the Western nation states, to the United States. But as of right now, the Western states of the European Union and the UK. So folks, this was a rather shorter rant video than I've done in the past few that I've come out with. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, or subscribe. Leave in the comment sections any video ideas that you might have, or send me a message. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time or next week for the weekly Foxtrot or the next rant video that I come out with. Thank you very much, and remember, never give an inch and never give up.